if this is my first ever therapy session, what do I want to know?
That's right. Yeah. So all of my questions that I'll ask you have an intention and a purpose behind them. Um, so the way that you respond will let me know how, not to put any pressure on you, but will let me know how comfortable your system is with the territory that we're exploring.
Mm.
And so we can decide how deep you want to go based on kind of what's coming up and how you um, land with how it is working with the part that you choose to work with.
Mm.
Yeah.
And do you go into the sessions usually with an awareness of something to work on, or is it something through the questions that comes forward?
It can be either way. So that's part of the model is supporting the client, which will be you today, in identifying the target part. And so you might have something up that's been really activating that you're aware of is a part that you'd like to explore. And if that's not the case, then I would invite you to kind of go inside, take a minute and check in with what needs attention.
Mm. And is that something that you would usually guide at like a client at the beginning of the
Yeah.
session there? So it
Yeah.
might be
Yeah.
nice to actually do
And
that.
yeah, I will, yeah, we'll guide you through that for sure. What else? Yeah, yeah, just you also having permission if a question or my energy doesn't feel like it lands in any way, this is a very self-directed experience. So, feel free to say, that's not the way I'd ask it, or that
Mm.
reflection isn't quite accurate, or whatever it is. Or if you feel like my system is putting an agenda on you, or there's pressure from me, you can always name that. You know, you can feel that energy from me.
Mm.
So it's relational, um, and it's really guided by what feels good for you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for explaining that. Yeah, I would say we just dive in and then we can kind of take the bits that feel that are useful to share.
Perfect. And then we'll see how the timing works out. And
Yeah, I'm completely open in terms of
okay.
what's needed with timing. Yeah,
Okay,
I'd
good.
have some time.
Yeah, these can be the IFS sessions can be like a very organic journey, and so I'll keep my eye on the clock, but I'll also just let it unfold naturally.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to check, I'm sure you've got this settled out, but does the screen that's recorded have both of us
It
in the
has
right?
both of us. Yeah, like view like you're there and I'm here. Um,
Because I can't see me, and I'm I
oh, you
like
can't
that.
see you.
No, I have my video hidden,
Got
but
it. Okay,
that
no, I
doesn't
can.
affect that to
Yeah,
affect. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I think it should all be set up working well.
So Molly, this will be essentially your first IFS session.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for volunteering to work with one of your parts to demonstrate this. Yeah. Do you have a part in mind as you're considering starting this inner work?
Hmm. I don't know if it's a part, but an emotion that I work with a lot is one of guilt. And that
Okay.
could be something that's interesting to explore.
Yeah.
Potentially, I'm also open to exploring other things, but that's something I've worked with for a while. Mm.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds good to me. It sounds like a good trailhead.
Mm.
So before we get to know a little bit about the guilt that you want to explore, are there any parts of you that are present before we start as they hear, well, let's check out the guilt. Any parts that have any concerns about doing that or needs from this space or from me.
Maybe just something to kind of ground me in my body a
Yeah.
little. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You want to take a moment for that?
Hmm.
Let me know when that feels like you've landed.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So just check and see if it feels okay to move towards getting to know this guilt.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's see if you can invite the guilt to show up as it would when it gets activated and it's there. Maybe beginning by finding out where it lives in or around your body.
Feels very much like in my mind,
Mm,
like, or in the upper sphere of the body, like not necessarily mind like a thought, but it's like the feeling of constriction around the front and the sides of my head.
okay. What happens as you begin to focus it and notice it?
Mm. I notice a tightness along both sides of my jaw. And the thought that's coming is, wow, this is there a lot, and I don't even notice that it's there. Yeah. Like I don't pay attention to it because I think it's present often. So it's become this like undercurrent.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So as you recognize that it's often there, see if there's anything else, any qualities about this guilt that come along with its presence.
Like a hardening. It's the feeling and the energy of a hardening. I think it feels both like somatic and also like really in my body, but also just energetically hardened. Mm.
Do you feel that energy also in your head, or is it somewhere else in or around you?
Yeah, it's around me.
Okay. Just take a moment to see if there's anything else you want to notice about it.
That it doesn't have a clear, it doesn't have a clear association. It's like a story necessarily. It's almost just like a patterning.
Hmm.
Like I can feel the guilt right now, but I can't feel anything that it's associated with. So maybe there's also like a layer of confusion around it.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so just check right now as you're being with the guilt and noticing that, and see if the confusion that's there is another part of you that is feeling confused and has a different quality of the guilt. Or is that confusion sort of the guilt's own confusion?
Hmm. Yeah, it feels like the child of the guilt.
Aha. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's probably really good information.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never like
Uh-huh.
felt the correlation.
Yeah. Yeah. Just take a moment and see if there's anything else right now that you notice as you're spending time with this place.
Mm. I feel like a heaviness, almost like a bloating that's come on in my lower belly.
Okay.
I like a ballooning. It's
That,
discomfort.
yeah. Just check with that sensation that you're feeling and see if that feels like it's of the guilt or if it's another part that's uncomfortable with this.
It feels of the guilt.
Okay. All right. Well, just check and see if you can ask the guilt a little bit about what activates it. Are there times where it's more intense and less intense? What brings it up? Or is it always there, like you said, at a low level?
It's there when I do something that I perceive as wrong,
Good.
or not just wrong, but like there's something wrong is not quite the right word. Um, Something that's indulgent
Mm,
is the word that's coming through. And in that, like a wrongness, like there could be something better to do than that thing. And I'm choosing something that's maybe not like the best way in my idea. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So just checking with that, Molly, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm wondering if it's the guilt that it's itself is the one that's perceiving your actions, or if there's another part that works along with it to monitor what you do and evaluate it. Or is that kind of wrapped into the guilt's experience?
There's like a critic.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a critic there that's like observing and watching and like asking like what are you gonna do? Almost probing energy.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you notice now, does that critic, does it have different energy than the guilt has, a different feeling in you?
Yeah, it feels like the layer before.
The layer before.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So just noticing, observing how those parts of you work together. Just getting a sense of the sequence of events here. So there's an action. And if I've got it right, it sounds like there's a critic after an action.
Mhm.
And that's got a kind of probing critical energy. And then the guilt comes in.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else you want to name about the sequence of inner experiences when these parts come on board?
Mhm. Just that I'm noticing like how hard it is to breathe, just like the buildup of energy, even in relating directly to that
Yeah,
critic.
right.
Like there's such a tensing and a hardening as well.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, that's really good noticing, Molly. I'm appreciating that. And just check and see if the critic would like some attention or to be known more, or if you want to stay focused on the guilt. Sometimes when we're working with one part, parts that are related to it are very close, and we usually like to stay with one. But when there's an interconnected system, it's really good to know how they're related. And sometimes the target part shifts.
Mhm. Yeah, it feels like that's happening. I
Yeah,
feel
isn't that
like the
wild?
critic's actually bringing up more energy in my body of like a strong reaction than actually now the guilt, which feels further, it feels further away somehow, how the guilt right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we can focus back on the guilt, but the critic has a lot of energy and it's what's present. So just check. It's like a bit of a choose your own adventure and you can't go wrong. So do you want to stay with the critic?
Hmm.
Okay. So we're just going to do those same steps of just kind of finding the critic in your body, noticing what it's like when it's there.
It's here. It's, yeah, here behind. It's actually not so much in my body, but like behind my head. Mm. And yeah, in the sphere around my head.
Okay. And what's it like? Is it sharp? Is it heavy? Is it fuzzy? Is it electric? What do you know? What do you notice about it?
It's dull and heavy and like, oh, like a weight, like a real weight.
Mm. And when it's up and you're experiencing it, does it have a voice or things that it says?
It's an energy of judgment, less so like specific voice, but an energy of shouldn't.
Uh, yeah. How are
Mm.
you doing with this? How are you doing being with it and noticing it?
It feels like the second layer of thought that I'm having is it's crazy that I've never named this before.
Mm. Because
Yeah.
it's familiar.
Yeah, and just so present so often.
Mm.
And yeah, it feels there's definitely like a sadness of like, wow, I'm really that part is mm, yeah, it's there a lot and I haven't really paid attention to it.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give you some space for the sadness. And just see if the sadness wants anything right now.
Yeah,
Molly,
just presence.
yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
Mm.
and feel your presence with it. Molly, how are you feeling towards the critic?
I feel open to like mm, understand a little more, I guess, like inquisitive.
Great. Yeah. See if you can let it know that. Give it a sense of your relationship to it right now.
Mm.
And then see if you can ask it if it can let you know what its job is, what it's trying to do for you.
Help you make good decisions, help you do the right thing.
That makes sense to you as you hear that.
Yeah, it has like a standard of right, and it like wants me to align with that standard.
Yeah. Yeah. Can it let you know a little bit about why that's important from its perspective?
It's saying like everything is temptation, and like this is the part that keeps me from that temptation. I'm not really sure like what that fully means, but that's yeah.
Yeah, usually when it just comes right up from the card, it's fairly accurate. Yeah. Can it let you know what it thinks could happen to you or what it feels could happen to you if it didn't come here in its way and keep you from temptation and keep you to a standard?
That I would lose myself.
Okay. Yeah. And can it let you know what might be bad about losing yourself? What's it afraid of?
Of losing connection to mm, like something beyond myself.
Can it let you know why that's scary? If if Molly was to lose connection, lose herself and lose connection to something beyond herself, what does that feel bad to this critic?
But it's almost been like consumed. Like the critic wants me to stay in connection. And if I lose myself, I'm no longer in connection. And I've like been taken over by something else, like material and yeah.
Is this making sense to you, Molly?
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like a little like complex.
Uh-huh.
But it is like I there is it I understand that the critic wants me to maintain connection to something deeper than myself.
Yeah.
It's where the standard of like rightness or like doing the right thing is very strong.
See if you can ask the critic if if it can let you know when it first came about in your system to work with you in this way, to hold the standard. See if it can show you when it first showed up.
I can't find that.
Yeah. Yeah. So just ask the critic directly if it feels like it would be okay to share with you when it first started working in this way. Has it always been there, or did it come about after some experiences you've had?
Feels like it's always been there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that's the case. Does that feel right? You want to check?
Mhm. Yeah, just that it's just been there.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe just checking with the critic and asking, does this feel like a part you were born with?
Says that it came to help me do well.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not born with, but like as a way to help me get move through the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And just notice how you're feeling towards it right now.
I'm feeling it as like a younger part of me
Mm.
right now.
You're feeling it younger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm feeling like the way it came in probably more in like or got strong in like adolescence and to help me grow up.
Do well.
Hmm.
Is it showing you memories of adolescence or scenes when it was there? How's it letting you know about adolescence?
It's showing me like or like allowing me to feel like the feeling of like confusion and needing to show up somehow. Mm. It's like a feeling that it's bringing forward of like how to navigate things well.
What's it like for you to feel that confusion? Kind of notice how this part played a role in that.
It feels confusing.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that feel like you're kind of back in the experience that you felt when you were in adolescence?
Yeah, like the question of what to do, how to do it best.
Yeah.
And then this part, creating like a very specific standard, like a judgment.
And that standard was there to help you out with the confusion,
Hmm.
the temptation, the
Hmm.
yeah. When you're feeling and you're kind of blended with the confusion, how old do you feel?
The number that's coming is 8, but I don't know why.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So just check. This is sort of a this becomes a little bit of a crossroads in a session where we could spend some time finding out about what was happening when you were 8,
Mhm.
or we can kind of pull back into relationship with the parts that you've gotten to know so far, um, to stay with the critic, to stay with the confusion, to be curious about the guilt. So I want to just kind of give your system the reins in terms of where you're at and what you need. And just
Mm.
check and see what feels right, Molly.
Yeah, to almost be with the critic as it's present today feels more true.
Yeah, feels more true in the moment.
Yeah, like how is it showing up now
Mm-hmm.
that I can like ultimately shift relationship to ideally.
Mm. Yeah. What would you hope from your relationship with it? What would you hope for?
Mm, that's a good question. Mm, I think I want, I think the truth is that I want it not to be there.
Right. Right. So it's interesting, like when um right, when there's subtle agendas with parts, the parts can feel them. Right. Yeah. So for the one that doesn't want the critic to be there, what is that one wanting? What does it hope would be different if the critic wasn't there?
More, more allowing, more, less guilt,
Hmm. Okay.
less, less like harsh judgment. Yeah.
Right. See if that part, even though it wants really good things, it wants this critical part of you to not exist in the way that it quite naturally exists. And one thing that's coming to mind for me is like the kind of the way out is through, and it's only with the critic's consent and permission, um, that it will ease up, right, quite naturally, when it feels that you're not going to get lost. And sometimes that means spending time with the discomfort that was there when these parts came on board,
Mm.
and taking care of, really taking care to connect and witness what you were going through, potentially when you were 8, or maybe even further back if this part's part of your soul journey. Yeah. So I just said a lot, and just kind of check in and see how your system's doing, how your parts are doing, how your body and your breath are.
Yeah, I'm experiencing a little bit of a softening,
Mm,
just in sensing the critic kind of here and behind, like is there, but it's a little more, a little gentler and a little just like being aware of it
yeah,
is feeling supportive.
nice. Yeah. You want to check with it and see if there's anything that it might need you to know moving forward or right in this moment.
Mm. It's saying that there's like that it's gonna be there, but it can reorient like its standard. So it's gonna stay, is the message. But it doesn't have to be as harsh or as like oriented to rightness, like the right thing. But there could be like a different standard that is created.
Feeling as you say that, as as the critic shares that.
Mm. It feels like a different part of me is going to get to choose. Like that there's going to be a choice made of what I want to reorient towards and invite the critic into.
So it sounds like there's like a seat at the table that'll
Mm.
help the critic not have to be so intense.
Hmm.
Yeah. Let's check and see if there's anything else.
Just that the critic's like wants to be known and acknowledged. And there's a willingness from this part to reframe something. And that's feels like what the journey is going to be.
And do you feel like you can meet the critic there with knowing it and acknowledging it
Hmm. Yeah,
when
I
it's
do.
present? Okay. Just checking in and seeing if it's okay to circle back to the guilt that you started with.
Hmm.
That was across your forehead like a constriction, and then in the jaw and upper abdomen. Just checking if that guilt was aware of your connection with the critic and if there's anything there that it wants you to know.
Mm. Just that as the critic softens, the guilt will soften.
Mm, okay,
Hmm. Yeah, they're very related.
great. Great. I'm going to give you some time and space, Molly, just to be with the parts that you've extended your attention to.
Yeah, I'm having the awareness that when I'm trying to kind of get rid of the guilt, like, speak myself out of the guilt, that I need to actually go to the critic to understand why it's creating a standard of like judgment. And so in understanding that, the guilt kind of will soften on its own. Like I've been kind of trying to engage with the secondary part, but not the root part.
Something you can try to do moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, even just the question of like, is this guilt true, or like just where is this guilt coming from? I think is a good inquiry for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Where is it coming from? Is there something that it's hoping for by giving you the guilty feelings?
Mm. Yeah, and in the body, just like feeling how it's related to just this heaviness in the belly. I'm not sure yet what to do with that, but
Right. Right. Feeling how it's related to that feeling in your belly. I want you to check before you come back and we close if there is a place inside that's wanting connection with 8-year-old Molly or adolescent Molly, just wanting to leave room for an invitation for connection with those younger places inside of you that came up.
there's like an invitation for an acknowledgement that those parts are still here, even though I'm older. Like, it's hard to describe it. Like, they're as here as they were there then.
That's right.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like speaking to the expectation of it being like of the idea that I should know the right thing because I'm older.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you want to meet that inside right now? What feels right?
Like a holding of the youthful part of me,
Mhm.
like a letting go of the adult perspective and almost like the more mm, like the acknowledgement of the youth that's still here,
Well,
an acknowledgement of the youth that is here. Mm.
that feel like a shift inside. Yeah. 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 Take your time.
Mm. It just came through really strong, like the critic coming in when the expectation was given to like be more adult, even when young, like grow up, like the growing up instruction. Yeah.
How
So
is it for you
it
to
came
get?
in to like
Yeah, you got some more.
help the growing up.
Right,
Hmm.
right. How is it for you to get that piece of information, that clarity?
It feels like an important recognition that I'm surprised came through, but yeah, it feels true, like the way that it's coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
See if there's more here.
No, that felt like a completion almost of
Mm.
just to be with that recognition of why the critic is existing.
Right, right. My inclination for a further session with this would be um, to take some time with the one who got that message
Mm.
of it's time to be more adult, or you need to be more adult, the what the critic helped you establish, and to bring some compassion, some heart energy to the young one that felt the impact of getting that message.
Mm. Yeah.
That would be my future invitation for you, Molly.
Hmm.
Yeah. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, good. Yeah. So we're just going to come back in another minute. Just letting the connections you've made integrate in whatever way you need, with movement, with meditation, with breath, taking some time.
Mm. Mm.
Welcome back.
Mm. Thank
Yeah. How are you doing?
you. Mm. I'm doing, I'm in. Yeah,
Mhm.
very inward. Feeling grateful and yeah, like a clearer, like something to be like aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it to spend some time getting to know the critic?
It feels just like such a big part of every moment that it feels in moments like a little overwhelming to get to know that part. but actually not in the moment, only now, where I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's such a big part. Just the recognition of the bigness and the presence of that probably is my biggest, what I mean, what I'm aware of now is like my biggest part, it feels.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that feels a little like, whoa.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in it,
The
actually, it didn't
moment
feel
you have,
overwhelming to
yeah.
relate. It
Yeah.
felt like I could relate and like it wasn't scary actually in the moment.
Yeah. You had a lot of self energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Mm.
I know that it's hard to shift after after like a piece of inner work. Um, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you have any questions though, or anything that you might wonder
Mm.
about the process or
Yeah, I'm interested like what you kind of recommend to someone, when they uncover something in that way, like kind of obviously another session would feel really supportive, but kind of
right.
an interim, like what supports that integration or the continued exploration.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge question, and also the answer is simple in a way. Um, you think about my role in being with you was to guide your inner relationships, right? So I support you in getting to know these parts of you from self energy and um right, and not from the parts that don't like them.
Mm.
So with we because it's therapy essentially, we tend to work with what's uncomfortable inside, right? And inner critics and guilty parts are uncomfortable, but the idea moving forward after a session like this, or orienting to your parts from a parts perspective, you're thinking about how to shift your inner relationships so that when a part comes up and blends with you, ideally you bring self energy to it. Um, and it's tricky, it takes a little practice.
Mm.
Um, so because we don't like our inner critics, they're hard on us. It can it can be uh, a response inside to want to get to just like listen to it a little bit so that it'll knock back, right? So that you uncovered that subtle agenda of that part that
Mhm.
really wanted to negotiate with it until it was gone. But ideally, moving forward, if you feel it come up in the moment in response to whatever it's triggered by, like the a tough decision or a temptation, and you hear it and you sense it and you feel it, I guess it was on your right side. Um, Ideally, bringing some self energy there, and that can come in the form of curiosity initially, like, whoa, why did that critic just come up? Why am I feeling that so strongly? And then seeing if you can orient to the critic in a way that you build a relationship with it. Like, well, why are you important right now?
Mm.
Or is there something that you're worried about?
Mm.
Do you feel like I'm vulnerable right now? Like, just building trust through relating to parts from self
Mm.
moving forward.
And so self energy being the part of me that like was willing to speak to the critic and that wasn't the part that, yeah, I didn't know it was there, but that was like, oh yeah, I think I want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Is it more of a compassionate energy, self energy? Like how would you define
Yeah. 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 Compassionate. There's like 8 C's to identify it, but
it?
it's right, like confidence, right? Compassion, clarity, calm, creativity, connection, like even feeling a
Mm.
connection with it. Um, but for parts that tend to be more uncomfortable or more activating, like I don't know, like for some people, right, like a typical activation is like road rage,
Mm,
right? And so bringing compassion to road rage in the moment is really hard, but you could bring curiosity to it, right? It's like another quality of self. Like,
mm,
oh, why did I just get so blended with rage about that car
mm,
when I was just listening to the radio and fine? And then,
mhm,
right. And then maybe the anger can tell you, like, I felt really threatened or,
mm. I love that word blended, like self-blending with something rather than becoming something. There's like it still feels like there's the self there, like the seat of the self.
right.
In my case was like, actually part of what the critic was there wanting me to be in connection to was this deeper self.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that term feels really useful. And then the self energy being somewhat defined is what I'm understanding by these different words beginning with C is like
Right.
opportunities to explore them also feels really helpful because yeah, sometimes it's really hard to just be like, we'll just bring compassion to that part. It's that can not sometimes that feels like the right way or possible, and when it's not possible it's nice to have another option of
Right.
just connection actually. Like for
Right.
me just connecting to that part in the session we just did, I already noticed like it was still here but it was much less like there was just a little bit of like, oh, you're acknowledging me, okay, that connection felt like, at least for a first session, like actually quite a big step.
Yes.
Hmm.
Right. And what you're highlighting is that like blending with a part happens on a continuum. So like one continuum would be just feeling like all a quality of self, like just feeling calm or connected. And then on the other end of the spectrum is feeling totally blended with a part. So when that critic is all that's there, but it's a whole continuum, right? Of like uh, that critic's still there, but there's a little more self energy in it. So it doesn't have to be there as strongly because it's got some more trust in you, but it wants to hang out
Mm,
and watch the decision making process.
mm,
Right. So it's sort of like a continuum.
mm.
But we all get blended with parts sometimes, right? Like even the most evolved of us, right? Like
Mhm.
just knowing about the self sometimes isn't enough to keep us from slipping into
Yeah.
like a, you know, guilt or shame or
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a part of me that for my own integration feels like I want to almost like write the journey that I went on, like a little bit of almost like I'm seeing like a little bit of a diagram, and that's sometimes how I process things is just through writing and visualizing like this, this was the guilt, then there was the confusion, then there was the critic, and kind of just a little bit of a roadmap of what just happened.
it's
Feels like where I naturally am in this moment wanting to lean into.
beautiful. Yeah. Do you think you can take some time for that, Molly?
Yeah, that feels like the next step.
Yeah. And that's another way of acknowledging and deepening your relationship and being present with your parts. Yeah. They tend to like.
Yeah, that's actually like one of the biggest takeaways from this is just like the acknowledgement was the was a big part of the healing actually. Is I don't actually ever use that word or not often,
Mm.
but like there was a feeling that the acknowledgement already was like that step.
Right.
Mm.
Right. Right. Because some parts don't know that we have self on board, that we can be with them.
Mm,
And I felt like a really touching part of your session was right at the beginning, when you felt the sadness at noticing how big the critic was. And you were like, oh, just wants presence,
mm,
right? Like that, bringing your presence to your sadness, like allowing it to be there, and kind of making space for it was really touching.
mm,
Yeah.
Thank you. I really am grateful that we
Yeah,
had.
thank you.